This is a video tutorial for my Riders of Rohan guitar cover that I posted on YouTube a while back. I tried to make a nice, easy version for beginners so that you can play it with pretty recognizable chords, but still get a really nice sound of it. I'll be using the tab that I put in the video as a reference, so make sure you go to the original video, expand the description, and grab that tab because I'll be referring to it. Let's get started. So here's the first phrase. I'll just demo it, and then I'll take you through it. Here it goes. So there's 4 recognizable chords there. I've got A minor, G, C, D. And the A minor is played in the way that you would typically play an A minor, just the normal fingering for A minor. For G, I'll be playing it with my 3rd and 2nd finger, like this, and I'm only playing 5 strings. And so that's why I'm leaving my pinky out of it. And then I play a C chord, just basic C chord, just the 4 center strings, so no E on either side, just the 4 middle strings. And then the D chord I play in a way you might not be familiar with. What I'm doing is, well, if we look at a normal D chord, take out your middle finger, like that, and this is a little awkward because my ring finger and my 1st finger are just squished in here, right? But what I could do is put my middle finger instead on fret 3. So now I have open D, 2nd fret G, and 3rd fret B with these 2 fingers, and I play just those 3 strings, just D, G, and B. So it's kind of like a D chord, but not very recognizable if you're not familiar with reading music and music theory. So here's the A minor chord, G, C, D. I'll play the riff again, see if you can catch how I use those chords. So first step, you want to practice just the solid chords, because that's what your left hand's really going to do. Once you want to focus on the picking part, and you play the A minor chord, you play the first 2 strings of A minor, and then you're going to hit the G string, whoops, with a down, up, down pick. Right? I'll do it again. And then you're going to play the B string. So that was the whole A minor chord. Then I'm going to do the G chord. Just play it solid with 5 strings. And same with the C chord, just the 4 middle strings. And then the D chord, same thing, just play it. And then the melody goes to the G string. And you can actually just do that. That sounds fine. There's extra stuff in there I'll talk about in a sec. That'll do. But if you want to put in some accompaniment, while holding that D chord as much as you can, you're going to grab the F sharp on fret 4 of the D string, play the G string, lift your index finger, play it open, and put it back. So that's the whole first phrase. That little afterthought. Then we're going to do A minor chord again. We're going to repeat the same chords very often. This is phrase 2. Okay, that part is hard. And I'll show you 2 ways to do it. I'm going to do A minor, the same concept. Hit the lowest 2 strings, 3 notes on the G string, play the B string, a 5-string G chord. Now the C chord, you want to play a normal C chord with all 5 strings there. So not the lowest one, just A to E, because the melody's up here now. Now for the D chord, just a moment ago, I played it in the typical way. I think a better way to do it here actually would be to bar the 2nd fret and then put your middle finger on the 3rd fret B. So you can use a normal D chord, but you're going to have to reach up to 5 in a sec and then remove that D chord. So I would actually suggest playing it like this with a bar on the 2nd fret. So you play a D chord with a bar, and then you're going to grab the 5th fret with your pinky on the highest string. We're going to play G and the B string while still holding this chord. And then you have to let go of the chord because you need to play the 5th fret on the B string, holding this pinky the whole time. And then your index finger on the 3rd fret of the B string. So there's a lot to take in there. But the first part of the phrase is very simple because we basically did it already. Make sure you play 5 strings on C, D chord. Now, you can actually stop there, but if you want to add the afterthought, just like that. I'll show you again. So that's phrase 1 and 2 now. Now we're going to go to phrase 3, which starts in a very similar way, but I'm just going to play the A string on its own. Then I'm going to play the D string, down, up. Then I'm going to play the G string, down, up, down. That's it. Forgot to demo it there. So there's the demo. So now I go open, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. 5 string G chord, the C chord again, but just the 4 center strings. I hit the B string twice after that, and then we go to that smaller D chord with the index and middle finger that I was talking about earlier. That's just open 2, 3, and then put your ring finger on fret 4 of the D string afterwards, just like that. So we have. Just like that. And I'm going to scroll down now. And then I do an E minor chord for phrase 4. So that was phrase 4, very simple. You do an E minor chord and you play 5 strings because you want to accentuate the melody note, which is on the 2nd string, right here, the B string. Play open G, make sure you hold the chord the whole time so it rings. Then with your pinky finger, it's a bit of a stretch. You grab fret 4 on the D string. And then we finish off with a G, open G. So that was big reach. Now, I'm gonna leave my middle finger in place and pivot on it into a C chord. But I don't really need my first finger, so it looks like a C chord, but I won't use my first finger because I'm not going to play that note anyway. I'm going to play just 3 strings, A, D, and G, like this. And then my middle finger underneath that middle finger is an E note, and I'll play that on the D string. Like that. So I started with E, 5 strings, pivot on that middle finger. You always have to make sure you're playing the right number of strings because the way that I arranged it here is so that you can play with a pick, and when you play with a pick you should be only playing as many strings as I've written in the tab because the highest string is usually the melody note, and if you play too many strings it will obscure the melody note and you won't really be able to tell where that is. If you play this thing with finger picking, the whole thing is a lot easier anyway because you can really make sure you're picking out all the right notes. But in any case, make sure that you look at the tab and figure out how many strings you're supposed to play. So that's the first 4 phrases. So let me scroll up. Let's see if I can play all those. We got... It's the optional part. So that's the first half. Now the second half is very similar. It only has, I think of it as 3 phrases because it has 2 phrases that are very similar to the first part of the song. And then the third phrase is just like a long one that ends the tune. So the first thing we do is we play that A minor chord again, and the same thing that we keep doing. Play 5 strings, because you want to make sure you get the melody note, and we're going to bar that D chord again. So that was the D chord. This time the melody is a little different. You play the B string for that melody, and then you have that afterthought with your third finger on fret 4 of the D string, G, open it up, and put it back. And then we get A minor, the G chord, the C chord with the high E in again, and this riff we've pretty much done before. Bar that D chord. And I'm going to stop there. This was the second phrase of this part. I'll just play again. So this is phrase 1. And I do it again. Now I'm going to stop there. That part we did before in the first section of the song. That was, you bar the D chord, reach up for the 5th fret on the E string, and then you do this afterthought. But here, there's 2 7s you'll see in the tab, and I have to change positions here. So I need to jump up to the 7th position, and I need to make a bar in advance. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to jump right up to the 7th fret, and bar 5 strings. I'm only playing the 2 highest strings. Oof. There we go. I'm only barring the 2 highest, or playing the 2 highest strings, but I need to bar more because the next chord actually uses that whole thing. And if you don't bar it in advance, you're gonna go, ugh! It's going to be like a big jump to get that bar. So we're doing it right away. First of all, up here, you need to know what an E minor chord is. So that's going to be open E, bar 7, you get ring finger on 9, pinky finger on 9, middle finger on 8, and then you have that bar on 7 again. After we finish in measure 12 with the D chord, which goes, and I paused, you bar the 7th fret for 5 strings, and then you play your 6th string E minor chord. So check this out. I'm going to go from measure 11. And I just play the B string to get that first melody. Okay, cool. So now we're on measure 13. This is that 3rd and final phrase of the tune that's kind of long. I just ended on that E minor chord. So I play 6 strings, then play my B string in the chord. I can let go of the chord and I can play that same 8 on the B string, 7 on the E, and use your ring finger to play 8 on the E string, because at this time you're going to be getting ready to play the next chord, which is 0, 7, 7, using a bar, and 10. So that was E minor. Use that ring finger and balance on it while you switch the chord, and then your melody note is ring finger on 10. Like that. Get the chord, and then get that ring finger on 10 on the B string. We have one more chord way up here where we play, bar 10 with your index finger, just for 2 strings, B and E string. We're going to play those 2, and then put your middle finger, which is a bit of a stretch, on 12, but you're going to make sort of like a D-shaped chord up there now, which is 12 on G, 13 on B, and 12 on E. So watch how I do that. I barred those 2 strings at 10. Put my middle finger on 12, form that D chord, play just 3 strings, and play the B string, which your 3rd finger is on right now. Just like that. So I've got E minor chord, lose the chord, balance on that 3rd finger, play your D major chord up here, melody with your ring finger, switch to a bar, middle finger, get this D-shaped chord, and play that melody note on the B string, and then I'm going to play that middle finger one more time, and then do a harmonic note on the 12th fret of the highest 3 strings. If you're having trouble with your harmonic note, the trick is really just to make sure that you're actually over the metal bar, because when you play normal notes, you play like right behind the fret, right? But you have to go like right over that metal fret to get a good harmonic like that. So the last phrase was E minor. Just like that. And I'm gonna play like the whole last section for you here. So I have my A minor chord, D chord, do it again, G, C, D chord again, but go up this time, bar 7 for too many strings, play the big chord, melody, bar, little chord up there, and harmonics. And there we go, that's the whole thing. I breezed through that, but hopefully that helps you somewhat. Make sure you read the tab. If you're not reading the tab, I don't know why, but if you can't read tab at this level, you gotta go learn to read tab, because it'll help you a lot. But hopefully this video guided you through that tab. Good luck. Thanks again, Arjun, for the request. I hope that helped, and I'll see you next time.